Welcome everybody to the first episode of the Diaz Traveling Show. My name is Leo and I hope you guys are ready for an adventure because it's going to be one heck of a ride. Now I'll give you guys a little bit of information about ourselves. We are a family of 3 and we absolutely love to travel. So we are hoping to take you guys on our journey as we venture off for 1 year to a number of spectacular and unforgettable places. Now, both my wife Dawn and I are educators, so we're used to getting summers off and we're used to going traveling all the time. So when we got together, it just made sense that we would be traveling as a couple. And as we traveled more and more and decided to have a kid, that was the decision that we were going to make, that our kid, whether he liked it or not, was going to be traveling along with us. Now, the plan was to show our kid as much of the world that we could, to let him gain an appreciation of the world around him, as well as what he has back home, and he can make comparisons to see just how different and similar a lot of the world is around him. That, and we couldn't find a babysitter for an entire year. Now, Dominic is no stranger to traveling. He's been on an airplane more times than I can count now. He's 5 years old and he's been to Europe twice. I think he's been to about 9 different countries. So like I said, he's no stranger to the game of getting on an airplane. But this is going to be a little bit different now because we're going to be gone for an entire year and we're going to be in and out of different countries. He loves traveling. He loves seeing the new things, but he also loves doing the things that he does back home. Watching a little bit of TV, looking for his friends, playing at the park. So even though we might have this spectacular sunrise somewhere, he's more interested with playing with his toys, and that's okay.
I'm Budapest.
Now, fortunately for us, we have a program that we can take, which is a deferred salary leave, and it allows us to put a certain amount of our pay into a bank account, and then we work until we're done. And we took 4 years to save up some money, and then on the 5th year, we're actually paid for the entire year to go traveling. So as funny as it sounds, we're actually getting paid to go travel. So it's pretty exciting. The only downside to this now is that when we were ready to travel and we had our money saved up, COVID-19 had struck, and this really screwed up everything that we had planned because there was nothing open. We couldn't go anywhere. Nobody was allowing visitors in, so we had to rethink everything. The good part was that we were able to put our leave off for an extra year, so we worked for the extra year, and now borders have opened up a little bit more, so this is why we're actually finally taking this trip. I had suggested to Donna that, you know what, maybe we just forget about traveling and just go buy something fun with the money that we have saved up, like a new car or something like that, but she wasn't having any of it. So unfortunately, here we are getting ready to travel. Now, another thing that we really had to look at before we actually took off was a lot of other things that I totally forgot about, and I'm so glad Donna was on the ball with. It was things like, again, what are we going to do with our house? What are we going to do with our cars? What are we going to do with insurance? What are we going to do with medical insurance? All these things were never really a factor in my mind, so I'm so glad Donna brought them up because these are things that we needed to really consider. Also, things like is our money going to get deposited in? What accounts are we going to have? What do we have to pay for when we're abroad? How are we going to save? So these were really important factors that we had to really think about. And fortunately, Donna was on it just like that. Now, another really important aspect was this was Dominic's grade 1 year. Can't believe as educators, I almost forgot that we had to teach our own kid. Fortunately, this was already on Donna's radar. We then discussed it and made it a mission that this kid is going to learn everywhere we go. Each and every day, we're going to set a time to try and get him to learn, with the exceptions of Saturdays and Sundays, as Dominic already told us that it's the weekend and he doesn't need to learn. But at the same time, it was really great because we're taking a look at all the countries we want to visit, and what better way than to integrate the actual situation and the actual country and the actual place we're going with what he's been learning in classroom. And I think that this is going to make for a more fulfilling learning environment for him. What are you doing? Are you excited for school? Hey, get over here. Now, who could forget our friends? This was one of the biggest things that we were going to miss the most, were our friends that we spent a lot of time with, that we went on road trips with, that we had camping trips with, birthdays. This was something that we were going to really miss. And for Dominic, the same thing. His friends, this was something that he was going to have to get used to. As a matter of fact, we were all going to have to get used to it because these were people who were very important in our lives, and we celebrated so many different things with them. We shared so many special moments with them, even going out on weekly ski trips with these families. Dominic had a great time. We had a great time because we all got along, and it's going to be something that we're absolutely going to miss. So really trying to understand that we're not going to have these connections and these support groups overseas is something that we really have to be mindful of. On top of that, Dawn and I usually had a date night every Friday, Saturday night, so that's something that we're not going to have anymore because we have a permanent third wheel. But let's be honest, he's a very cute permanent third wheel. Just so long as he pays the bill from time to time. So even though this pandemic has really messed up the world that we live in right now, and it's making it extremely difficult for us to travel, we are still taking this trip. We are still going to do as much exploring as we can, and we're going to take it in stride. Are we going to have to make some alterations? Absolutely. Are we going to have to make some last minute calls and adjustments? You bet. But this is part of life. Life never gives you everything that you want. So we're going to have to try and navigate this and do the best that we can because life is just way too short. And we want to make sure that we're experiencing everything that we can, but most importantly, that we're going to be doing this as a family and that we're going to be there for one another and especially to experience all the wonderful times that are going to be lying ahead of us. And I feel very fortunate that our family is able to do this, and we are going to make the best of this trip. So feel free to follow us. I'll be dropping the Instagram account that you can catch up with us on, and we also have an online journal or blog, whatever you want to call it, that'll be showing up here as well. And feel free to check us out, and I will keep updating as we move along. Until then, stay safe, and we will talk to you guys soon.